Ultimately, that's the goal, right? I want to buy as many properties as I can before I go out on my own.
What is up, you guys? Matt McKeever here today. In today's video, I got a special treat for you. We're joined by my good buddy, Kevin Miller. And so Kevin's got a fantastic backstory. He's self-made like almost everyone else you see on my channel. And his backstory is he originally got into construction and then eventually became a realtor, became an investor, and he's built up a massive portfolio now. He's crushing it. He's moving into multifamily properties. He's done multiple flips, and just again, a fantastic perspective. Another guy that's taking real action, a real person getting real results. And so he's also going to be a guest speaker at OREC 2018. So just another great example of why you need to come out to OREC 2018. Information in the video description down below. But seriously, I love this video. It's so great. We get into such great details with Kevin, and I don't think anyone else is doing this shit on YouTube. Who else is documenting real life investors that are still in the trenches, that are still taking action, that are still getting results? I don't think anyone else is doing it. And if you agree with me that no one else is doing it, smash that like button and make sure you start sharing these videos on social media, guys. I mean, sharing is caring. It's the only way people find my channel. All right, enough of me rambling. Let's dive into Kevin's story. You guys are really going to enjoy it. Trust me.
Kevin Miller. Started in real estate about, let's say 6 years ago. I started investing in real estate. So before real estate, I was in construction. I worked a couple different construction companies. I was in school for construction engineering, so I was in that construction field kind of on co-ops and stuff like that. And my first job, I think I was 14, so well before the college. I was 14 and I was doing a lot of renovations. So like, we were in Old South London, it's kind of a popular area around here, and we do like additions, renovations, tear down, demos, and I was kind of just a laborer, sit down, do the demo and stuff like that, kind of the gopher, right? So after that, I went, where did I go after that? I went to Fanshawe College from there. And then I went to Fanshawe College for construction engineering. Went there for 1 year, back to the construction job, doing renovations and stuff like that. And then second year, you're required to do a co-op. So at the co-op stage, I actually didn't go back to that company. I went to kind of a heavy equipment company that I worked for. Did that for the 8 months, great opportunity. And then when I left Fanshawe College, I was still working for them. So I worked for them for about 2 years at a Fanshawe College. And during this time, it was a great company, you know, making pretty good money for my age. So during that time, I was able to save and buy 2 properties. So bought those 2 properties. Luckily, my parents live in London, so when I was going to school, I was living with my parents. I moved out from my parents' house to go to college, right? I was 18 and got a bunch of buddies together. There was 6 of us. We all lived in this one house, and we're all paying $400 a month. So 6 times 4, 24. This guy's making $2,400, and you know, the house wasn't that nice. So we're all living there having a good time. Don't get me wrong, it was a great time. And then after that very first year, I thought, okay, this is kind of a waste of money. My parents live in London. Why don't I just move back in with them and save some money? So that's what I did after my first year of college. Moved back in with them, and then I was able to save up some money to buy, like I said, that first property in 2012, maybe 13. So by that time, had the 1 property cash flowing, saved up enough to buy a second property. And then this kind of, as this is going on, I'm working for this construction company on my 8-month co-op, and kind of, you know, just working for them, trying to save up some more money to buy another property. Ultimately, that's the goal, right? I want to buy as many properties as I can before I go out on my own. So when I buy these 2 properties, I'm working with the same realtor, great realtor, worked for Century 21, good guy. I realized that, you know, he got a pretty cool commission off of each sale. So I thought, okay, well, I want to buy lots of properties. This is what I want to do. I want to own investment properties. I want to help others own investment properties. I'm going to get into real estate. So the job I had at the time, like I said, was in construction and heavy equipment. And I was running an off-road rock truck. So the way it would work is you kind of drive around in this truck, and you go down to the bottom of this hole, so to speak, and they'd load you up. So during the time where you got loaded up, it was about 3 minutes that would take. You kind of wait in line, took about 3 minutes. So I signed up to get my real estate license, and you had to do all these online courses, and I thought, okay, great, I can, you know, do this in my truck at work. So actually, I'd bring my iPad to work, and then every round, a round took about 10 minutes, but in that 10 minutes, I had 3 minutes to sit there and study for these real estate tests, take these online courses. So I did the first one, pretty much all through studying in that kind of rock truck vehicle that I was in. So get that one done. I have to take the morning off to write an exam. So tell my boss, really great guy, you know, totally understanding. Lets me take the morning off, write the exam, pass the exam. Then it's on to step number 2. Step number 2, a little bit harder. They moved me from the vehicle outside, so now I'm kind of laboring, which is fine. I just couldn't study, so took a little bit longer. Step 2, again, took a morning off to write the exam. Got the exam done, and then I was on to step number 3. And at the time, I didn't know, but step 3 is called real estate as a professional career, and it's actually a week program, so it takes all week to do this. At the time, I didn't know you could just challenge the exam, and you know, you didn't really have to go to this course. So I ended up taking the full week off of work to go to school for a week to study real estate. So did that, passed that, and then at that time, you did your 3 courses. I now have my real estate license. Still working for the construction company. Bought another property. Where did I buy my next property? Oh, 15 Rennie. So my parents live in a little bungalow in White Oaks, and kind of 5 doors down from them, there's this property that my neighbor had. It was a really good deal at the time, and he had to sell quickly. So he kind of approached me and said, you know, I have to sell this property really quickly. You know, are you able to buy it? And at the time, no, I was definitely not. I had just bought 2 properties. This would have been my 3rd. I didn't have the capital. I didn't have, you know, the team to renovate it. It needed quite a big renovation. But then we kind of talked about a price. And when he told me the price, I had to buy it. So that was kind of my first taste of, you know, how am I gonna make this work? Ended up getting a small loan from a family member to make that one happen with the down payment, and then through the job that I had, you know, it was easy to finance the reno. So completely renovated that one. What I did was, at the time, we weren't allowed to do the auxiliary suite. Now in London, you can you know, owner occupy an upstairs unit and rent out the downstairs unit as long as you follow the building codes. Or alternatively, you can, you know, have a tenant upstairs and a tenant downstairs, and kind of like a duplex. You don't call it a duplex, but it's, you know, the auxiliary suite option. So at the time, we weren't allowed to do that. So what I did was I called the city and said, here's what I'm doing. I want to turn my 3-bedroom house into a 4-bedroom house, and I want the 4th bedroom to be in the basement. And they're like, yeah, that's fine. You just need to, you know, cut an egress window. And they gave me all the requirements for this egress window. And I said, okay, that's pretty cool. I also want to have a kitchen in that basement, you know, just why not? And they go, okay, you can't put a stove down there, but you can put a fridge and you can put a sink and blah, blah, blah. So long story short, I end up basically getting my permits, and I'm gonna do this renovation. I rip out a bunch of walls, put in an island, make an open concept, put the bedroom in the basement. We cut a big egress window, and I just went ahead with it. I put a cooktop down there instead of a stove. I called the city back, and the city came out to do the inspection. It's called a property standards inspection. And I shouldn't get ahead of myself. Along the way, they were stopping by and inspecting all this stuff. So, you know, at each stage, there's electrical and plumbing and all these inspections, and those are fine. But at the very end, they come back for property standards. And you need 6'5" in the basement. You know, it's means of egress, so anywhere. So if you're in a bedroom, to get outside, you need to have 6'5". So from the bed to the egress window, 6'5". So they come out with a measuring tape. I didn't know the rule at the time. Again, I'm still a young investor. I have the 2 properties, but I had never done the auxiliary suite thing before, or the bedroom in the basement thing before. So he comes out, and I have 6'3½". And he goes, well, you can't have this. I'm like, well, there's absolutely no way that I can get any more room here. I have there's a beam up there. So I had a bulkhead around this beam. So he goes, okay, luckily this inspector that I had was good friends with the professor that I had at Fanshawe. So we got talking about that. Anyway, long story short, he goes, take the drywall off the beam and we'll measure again. So right there, I take my hammer out, like on site, rip it down, brand new renovation, like everything's done, painted, cleaned, but I'm kind of mad at this point, so I just rip it down, and he measures again, and we have 6 foot 4.5. So we kind of laugh, and he, at this point, I know he's gonna pass me because, you know, it's 6 foot 4.5. So he tells me the rule and gives me the green sticker. So I was able to get property standards in there. They allowed the 4th bedroom. So now that I have the 4th bedroom, I can rent out the basement as, you know, a bedroom, rent it out as a bedroom. And now I've turned a 3-bedroom house into a 4-bedroom house. So I can, it's legal, it's all done with permits. So now I have a 4-bedroom house, increasing the value, right? So with that being said, I rented out the upstairs to one tenant with 2 kids, great guy. I rented that out for $1,200 a month. And then I advertised for the upstairs tenant to have a roommate that was going to occupy the bedroom in the basement. Now, since I put the kitchen down there and, you know, it had its own space, it had its own entrance, it was kind of its own little suite, I was able to get $800 for that. So now this house that I paid, I think I paid $190 for, it was getting $2,000 a month, and, you know, it was great cash flow there. So that was good. I kept that. The tenants were awesome. Actually, we're going to St. Thomas here, and that's where the one tenant was working. He was working at Magna in St. Thomas. So that was great. We did all that and finished that up. Both tenants are in there, both tenants are happy, and now I'm making cash flow from the 2 rentals I have, cash flow from the 3rd one that I just added, and I can slowly pay back this small loan. So get the small loan paid back. I think it only took me like 6 months, maybe a year. I don't really remember. This was in 2014. Get that all paid back. And I go out and I say, okay, I need to buy another property. So this is number 4. So during this time, I'm still living with my parents, still saving money, living with my parents, and working for this company, you know, the heavy equipment company. Now I have my real estate license. So, you know, I did the 3 courses, I can trade real estate. So now that I have my real estate license, I can kind of look on MLS, I can, you know, get the deals, I don't have to pay commission. So, you know, it's not, I mean, it's great. The realtor that I had was great. He would always go out and find these deals for me, and it was awesome. But now I can kind of do it on my own. Still working the construction job, and I was starting to sell some investment properties now. Living at home, working for this company doing heavy equipment, and now I'm also starting to sell some investment properties. So that got to be very, very challenging. I was working out of town. I was in Oshawa, I think. I was in Toronto. And I'm getting calls from people from London. I want to look at this property, I want to look at that property. I want, you know, I got a couple listings at the time. I wasn't even trying to get listings, but it just so happened that, you know, the people you sell investment properties to, they want to move around. And anyway, so I had to quit that job in 2016. So I've been trading real estate for about 6 months, and I just thought, you know what, I'm gonna do this full time and quit that job. So when I quit that job, I immediately bought a house. I bought a house in Westmount, and now at this time, they started changing the rules. Now you're allowed to do this auxiliary suite, the income suite in the basement, and you don't have to just call it a 4th bedroom. You can legally do this. So by this time, they're changing the rules. So I buy another house right away, right when I quit my job, because I'm scared, right? I have no income now. I have my cash flow, that's fine, but I need something to do. I'm not gonna be that busy in real estate because I'm brand new, so I need something to do. So renovate this house in Westmount, do the exact same thing, move some tenants in. Now these tenants, they weren't great. So once I moved them in, I started having some trouble, so they left. When they left, I immediately sold the property. I bought the property in 2016. About 6 months later, the market it was just great timing. And I'm not a time the market kind of guy, but it was just great timing. And that house went up in value. I'd say about 5% appreciation, but from all the work I did, it went up in value about 25%. So I was able to sell it for a pretty substantial profit. So sell that, and I'm thinking, okay, well, that's a great profit. What about this house that I bought back in 2015? What's it worth now? The one that I had renovated with the 4th bedroom. So I put that on the market, and I end up selling that at like a 55% gain. So that was kind of the first time where I had some capital that's like, okay, now I can go and do something. So sell the property in Westmount, sell the property in White Oaks, and now, you know, there's a little bit of a nest egg there that I can go do something. So it's actually pretty good timing. We're just coming up to the thing that I bought with the proceeds to that. So all these single family homes were great, and I did kind of the BRRRR strategy that everybody talks about, the famous, you know, buy, renovate, rent, repeat. Did that, refinance. So did all that, but once I sold the properties, I thought, okay, it's time to get into multifamily. I want to own, you know, at least 100 doors, and I'm not going to do that by, you know, buying one property at a time slowly. So I thought, okay, I'm going to try out some multifamily stuff. So the next property that I bought, I guess I did a few flips in there that we can talk about at you know, another time. I actively was flipping maybe 3 properties in my first year, and then I flipped I think 2 last year. So I was doing a couple flips. But you know, ultimately I don't really want to sell anything. My goal is to acquire as many doors as I can quickly. So then I bought this property that we're going to now, and it was a hair salon. So I decided to do a conversion, and I completely turned this hair salon into a 3-unit apartment building. So we can kind of walk around. We can't go in unit 2, but we can go in unit 1 and unit 3. Unit 1 and 3 are still vacant. I haven't rented those yet, but I'm renting out unit 2 right now, and then the other 2 are on the market. They should be rented within the month. They'll be rented by March 1st. So we can talk a little bit about numbers there too.
Right? You agree with me. That was a fantastic episode of Kevin just diving into and explaining exactly how he became a real estate investor. And I just love the perspective and the idea and the hustle and the fact that, oh, he doesn't have the money to get the next deal, and then it turns out to be too good of a deal, and he has to figure a way out in order to make it work. And that's a common theme that a lot of us investors, you're going to notice. Anyways, fantastic video. Smash that like button if you enjoy it. Hit the subscribe button if you're new to my channel, and definitely check out the other videos YouTube wants you to check out. And until next time, remember, making money is a team sport. There's more than enough money in this world for us to all make it, but if you're not saving it, I mean, like, what's the point, guys? Thanks. Bye.